talk about Skyrim. That's a video game.
Hey, there we go. That's a nice safe topic.
There's a lot to say.
I thought we already talked about Skyrim.
There's a lot of different angles to it.
We haven't talked about Skyrim.
No.
We couldn't talk about Skyrim.
No.
How do you guys feel about Skyrim?
Fucking awesome.
I still haven't played any Skyrim. Should
Why
I play some Skyrim?
Why haven't you played Skyrim?
Well, I was
Should I
really
play Assassin's Creed.
I was super excited to play Skyrim, but then I just wound up watching Greg play 12 hours of Skyrim, and that let me pause for a little bit.
Did you watch a lot of it?
Yeah. I went home to sleep, and then I was like under the spell of Greg Kasavin.
You were enraptured.
Yeah, I couldn't look away. I didn't know what was going to happen.
It's live.
Yeah.
Blink and you miss it.
Seriously.
I was just enjoying.
A couple of times.
I was enjoying all of the highlights, people quoting things that Greg was saying.
Gregisms.
This is the most realistic bee I've ever seen in a video
Good
game.
quotes coming out of that.
We were kind of losing it because we could hear him from the room.
Yeah.
So occasionally Patrick and I would just start busting up.
I'm Greg Kasavin. I used to play 12 Hours of Oblivion, and now I'm playing the new one.
I thought it was amazing, and thanks, Greg, for doing it again.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love how he could just turn it on. He's
I don't think there was anything to turn on or off there. That was just him.
It's basically like he embodied everything that I want, which was why it was so engaging, because he's like just exploring, figuring this stuff out, but is able to monologue through the entire thing and starts talking to the characters and kind of like goading them on. Like, you gotta bring that? You got that? Oh, you're dead. You're dead. Which was great.
Makes me wonder if he just does that when he plays games.
That's my question. Does he just have this dialogue going in his head or out loud?
I don't know, but it was great. My wife watched the whole thing too.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow. My mom watched a bunch of it.
He's an enrapturing man.
It takes a certain skill set to do a monologue, a 12-hour monologue, no less, alongside the game like that. So
a lot of stuff in that game to riff on.
Yeah,
that game.
A lot of things going on.
That game is replete with things.
It sounds like no one has seen everything yet.
No.
I think that's impossible. Like, I'm at the point, 25 hours in, like, where like I kept thinking, well, I should just guide back the story because I'm feeling overwhelmed. Like, I'm looking at my quests. I have like 15 normal active quests, but I don't even want to look at my miscellaneous because like that's just terrifying. There are like 40 miscellaneous quests just sitting in that pile. And so I am kind of just refocusing on the story. I'm like, I feel like if I just get that out of the way, like this pressure will get off my shoulder, like where I can just kind of do whatever. Like there's less impetus to go forward doing things.
I spit this statistic out on the quick look, but 9 capital cities in the game.
Yeah.
I put in 60 hours. I finished the storyline. I did all these guilds and stuff. Still haven't even gone into one of those cities.
You haven't
even touched it.
Haven't seen anything in it.
Dawnstar.
Yeah.
Which one is that?
It's in the
kind of
extreme
in the
north.
middle north.
There's a museum there.
So you guys are really enjoying it.
It's
fantastic.
It is amazing.
I thought I was tired of these types of games after Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, but
they did it so much better.
It's so much better.
Like this feels like the game they've been trying to make for the last like 10 years, and they finally got it right.
Like in terms of just like scope or
everything, like quality of content, breadth of content, like different mechanical systems meshing together properly. It all just came together finally. Like even kind of technical polish. Like it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than they've done before.
Yeah, there's some crazy things here and there. I fell through the world.
Yeah.
At least you weren't that bear.
I was not. Yeah,
I was actually a saber cat.
It was a saber cat.
We need to set the record.
It sure looked like a bear.
Everyone's saying bear. I keep hearing about this bear encounter.
Yeah,
people are going nuts about bears.
It's the giants. It's the giants in this game. When if they hit you with a direct hit, like over the head. I have to imagine maybe
it's
this was
a launcher. They should be jumping up for an air combo at the end of this.
I feel like this had to have been one of those like glitches in the game, and they were just like, "This is too fucking cool." Like, because it totally doesn't mesh really. Like, as ridiculous as that game gets, and it's got magic and stuff. To just see a saber cat spiral thousands of feet into the air spontaneously. After one swing, she's on the other side of the world.
And that'll happen to you, too.
Yep.
Yes. You'll see yourself shoot out.
But you don't survive, right?
No.
You are dead once you...
No.
Okay.
If you see yourself from the third person
you're dead
in the air,
you're already dead.
You're already dead.
I wish they'd let you fall.
Yeah.
And I wish I wish there was a kill cam for that saber cat.
Right.
Like, I want to see where he ends up.
I wonder if it's traveling too far, too fast for them to, like, stream in the world.
Totally possible, but something tells me a modder is going to figure that out.
Well, I
also wonder what the ceiling of that world is.
It's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's mountains.
I mean, the map is them rendering the terrain from, like, a super high distance.
Yeah.
So
but I wonder
if
if
basically show the entire world at one time. It's just,
I realize that with the map thing, but I wonder like what the actual like physical ceiling on the world is. I mean, I realize there's huge mountains and stuff, but
So if they hit that saber cat, can you go to the map and see it like come near the camera as it is
That would be
escaping
that would be
Skyrim
awesome.
velocity?
Not like that.
So you can never get strong enough to do that to bad guys, right? Okay, that is giant strength.
That sounds like a DLC perk.
I was going to say, let's wait for the modders.
Yeah.
Need for Speed the Run kind of does that also. A couple of weird physics things where all of a sudden I was in the air in my car. And
Are there giants?
no.
There's no magic in that game.
That's a
No,
shame.
well, no.
In all sorts of ways.
It sounds
there's
like
no
there is
magic in that
Always
game.
magic, guys.
It sounds like there is no magic in it.
Yeah.
Man, as much as people seem to enjoy the ridiculous stuff that happened in that quick look,
Yeah.
I wish that we had been rolling on the thing that I did on Friday.
Yep.
Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
God.
Yeah, you should describe
oh
this.
my God.
Your Bradageddon, your
So, I mean, all right,
Battle of the
like
Giants.
tiny spoiler about an ability you get by finishing the game. If you really don't want to hear about it, turn this off.
It's spoiled elsewhere.
Okay, it's
So
not a big deal.
I think we're
it's
pretty.
a shout.
We're
It's
pretty,
a shout that
we're
you
pretty
get
safe.
by. Like, in fact, you get a bunch of decent shouts by finishing the main story.
Which is kind of what I've heard is finish that so that you can
Yeah.
kind of have
Yeah.
everything at your disposal. For the
I mean,
side
it's
stuff.
great the way they handled that thing because the main quest line just ends. Like, no credits, no ending. I mean, events play out based on the end of that quest, but you're
You have closure.
still moving around
Right.
in it. You know,
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
like you're in some like Fallout-esque like stitched cutscene or something.
And we always had the worry that maybe there wouldn't be dragons because if you
Yeah.
if you don't have enough shouts, then you or dragon souls, you can't assign that to all the shouts.
Right.
But that's not an issue. You
No,
can
no,
still
I mean,
max everything out.
There are some kind of subtle ways that the world changes after you finish the story, but like you're still free to roam. The dragons are still everywhere. Like it's still the same game.
Yeah,
but,
cool.
Anyway, so like you get some good stuff by finishing it. But one of the shouts you get summons a dragon for you to fight stuff,
A companion.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
So
Turns into a buddy Middle Earth cop film.
how did this go down? I went to a giant camp, and there happened to be a dragon circling nearby. So I shot the dragon with an arrow to aggro it.
Now, everything that I've heard about this game is do not fuck with giants.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
dragons are scarier than, or the giants are scarier than the dragon.
That's what I hear. I hear the giants will end you more quickly
to a
than
point.
a dragon.
Dragons have a rare one-hit kill that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Giants have a very frequent
Yeah,
one-hit
yeah,
kill.
yeah.
But
that
dragons
sucks.
like to fly around in a circle a lot and
Yeah.
have their kind of set attack patterns,
Yeah.
which gives you plenty of time to heal up or you know kind of deal with the dragon.
But also, like if you don't mess with the giants, they're pretty docile, right?
Yeah,
if you
they
don't mess with
don't-
giants
yeah,
or mammoths,
correct.
is
Yeah.
that right?
Don't mess with them,
They
they won't
heard
mess
the
with you.
mammoths. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Brad, it sounds like you were setting up the test for this
was-
because I saw the results of what
It
happened.
was basically like let's test the boundaries of the sandbox.
Yeah.
So
And also, could you even spawn two
I
at
didn't
once?
know what was going to happen. So I attacked the dragon like right next to this giant camp, and the dragon comes over, and I'm like, all right, time to call my dragon in. So dragon shows up, and there's all of a sudden like a dragon dogfight going on overhead. And I think in the
So
middle,
they're flying around in
like,
the air fighting each other.
yeah, like shooting fire at each other, and
kind of
like,
having a little bit of a tough time.
It's looking a little weird in
Yeah.
spots,
It
but
worked
they're
okay.
trying to
they're
attack
trying.
each
It
other
worked okay.
within
They
the
were-
limits of how dragons behave.
they were doing damage
Because it's got like these set animation patterns, so
Right.
it can only kind of do so much. But it was when it got weird that it got
Yeah, at some
really
point I was
good.
like, hey, let's invite some giants to this dragon party. So I ran over and just like whacked a giant in the knee, and he rolled in, and somehow they all started fighting each other. I don't know
It
how
was
it happened.
dragon on giant, and then
And then a mammoth got involved because the mammoth was just there, and he got hit with fire.
But
or
they were all
something.
fighting each other basically.
Yeah, like I was kind of at some point I was just stepping back and watching this stuff, and then I had another shout that you get toward the end that summons like a spectral warrior from Sovngarde,
Right.
Which is like the afterlife, like the Viking afterlife or whatever. So like all of a sudden this like 8 foot tall glowing warrior appears, and he's got the shout. He's got the what's it called, unrelenting force, the force push thing.
Yeah.
So he appears and immediately does that on the giant and sends the giant flying like 50 feet. And the dragons are still over here killing each other, and the mammoth is like bucking his tusks around all over the place. But it just completely went to
As
shit.
I remember, the giant killed a dragon.
Yeah, the giant I think killed the bad dragon.
Yeah, killed one of the dragons, and then
But then my good dragon I think killed the mammoth, which actually like the corpse of the mammoth hit the corpse of the dragon
Yeah.
and like turned into this big pile.
it was intense.
Oh man, it was
Just a
crazy.
ragdoll mess.
It was so it was so insane. Summoning that warrior and immediately having him shout the giant like the length of a football
was
field
intense.
that was the moment.
I
So
feel
good.
like meaningful, like dynamic, random things like that happening it was kind of missing from the previous Bethesda open world games.
Yeah, it
like
was-
you would occasionally run into like I don't know, a goblin fighting some villagers, or
it would just be random skirmishes in the desert or in the wastelands.
Yeah.
Or I didn't play Oblivion, but it was nothing as on the level of like a Red Dead Redemption where they had a certain number of scripted sequences that could kind of play out randomly in the world.
Yeah.
It was just like, all right, here's some guys fighting. Do you want to go fight with them?
Especially with VATS, it was a lot more controlled because you were just kind of
really nice to not use VATS because I don't like that system at all anymore. And
I like VATS. It just doesn't make sense for Skyrim.
That just got boring.
Yeah,
to me.
the combat is remains. I mean, I'm 25. I don't know how you're feeling at it. Like, I've been wondering if this runs into the Bethesda problem of like you become all powerful and thus combat becomes boring. I mean, Brad's a little more at that point than I would be.
It's definitely gotten easier. You don't die as much.
Yeah,
but there's still tough enemies out there. I mean,
and you have so many options that it's not like Fallout where it's kind of like. Here's different guns. It's an energy weapon or a machine. Like, there's way more variety in how you can approach each situation, I think, in Skyrim than you could in Fallout.
I think I telefragged a dragon.
I hope so.
I fast traveled, and when I appeared, there was a dragon corpse kind of sort of inside me, sort of not. And as soon as I landed, I absorbed its soul. It was just like, free dragon soul, here you go.
Nice.
And all the bones and scales and all that other stuff that comes with it. I was like, great, awesome. Can unlock this disarm dude's shout or whatever.
Is there a level cap?
It sounds like it's around 80.
Okay. And what were you when you finished the game?
I think I'm 31 right now.
And I think they said that like the ramp gets really steep post 50. Is that what it is?
No, the thing about 50 is the enemies, I think, stop increasing at 50. Or 50 is like where you're going to see the hardest dragons and stuff.
Okay.
Do you think you would be able to gain enough levels to fill out a majority of the trees if you were to?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
Like a good number of perks, yeah, but
you
like
can't
if you're talking about
respec, can you?
maxing, no, you can't. If you're talking about maxing out entire trees, you're not going to be doing that many.
There's enough that you can respec your character essentially, probably kind of twice throughout the game. If you they give you enough points that you can experiment down a path, realize like I think all three of us started with heavy armor and then realized we all wanted to be light armor, and it's even though you can't take those points away, there's plenty that you're not gonna you can screw up and
I made the switch
guy
before spending any points on heavy armor, so I feel pretty good.
I'm just wondering, like, if you beat it, and you're kind of like a two-handed or one-handed guy, and then you're like, I want to try magic out. You think there are enough points to just kind of tool around?
Yeah,
in
definitely.
It
I think it's one of the less overt triumphs of this game is that they finally got this like hybridized class system totally working. So like you go into the game, there's no tutorials, but like here's how you use magic and increase your magic skills, and here's what you should do if you want to use two-handed stuff. Like you just use the stuff.
And then you drop perks in, right? With levels?
It's really evident how you equip spells and like when you should use them and stuff. It's all really intuitive, but your skills just go up as you use that stuff. It's totally transparent. And then if you want to specialize, you just start putting all your perks into like 2 or 3 categories.
How do you move up shouts?
You find there are 3 levels for each shout, it seems like.
And you get the dragon souls to move up levels? Or you
get the dragon souls. You have to find the words, and then once you find the words, you have to spend dragon souls to unlock each individual word.
Okay.
So you get a soul from killing a dragon, and you find the shouts just...
Okay, and that's
hanging out in the world,
and all that stuff is regardless of if you're using magic or
that's totally separate.
Yeah. That's cool.
And a lot of that stuff in and it's nice because even a lot of those shouts are hidden in side quest stuff.
A lot of them are completely non-essential, but like tied into the fiction in some really cool ways.
Yeah, but so you won't come across all of them unless you're engaging in the side stuff.
But you can hunt them out. Like that's a okay.
Mm-hmm. The breadth of the fiction is just staggering. Like there are a bunch of the shouts are guarded by these 8 dragon priests. I don't know if you guys have seen any of those or not.
I haven't seen those dudes yet.
The only reason I knew they existed is because they're in one of the loading screens, and it's like got this like little tooltip that's like telling the legend of the dragon priests that worship the dragons like 3,000 years ago or whatever. And then all of a sudden I fought one that I just found like out of nowhere. And A, they drop really great loot, but B, it's like, wow, that was part of the lore, and all of a sudden now it's like right here in my face. And I'm actually fighting it. Like, it's so much depth.
How much time do you spend just wandering? Or were you mostly on objectives?
Most of it.
Yeah.
Probably.
It's hard not to.
Like the little like, hey, you're near an undiscovered location markers. Like those things are so distracting. Like I can't not go after those when I see them.
Especially if there's loot inside.
There's so much good stuff to do at all those locations.
It's even better than Fallout's because just like they're accurately marked for what they are too. So you can also instead of just being like little green arrows, like well something's over there. It's like if that's a town or if that's what are those keystones? What are those things called?
Standing stones.
Standing stones. Like
blessings.
It will tell you. You can almost filter out the things I don't care about going to track that down. I'll go look at it later.
But I care about towns, or I care
about towns, or you care about a different cave that you can go loot. Like it'll mark those so you can kind of like differentiate between what you want to go after.
It sounds like it's incredibly rewarding to the player. Like you do stuff, you get rewarded.
The thing I was going to say about the skill system is that I am in the midst of my second like class change right now. Like I started out going one-handed and magic in the offhand, and then like at some point I stopped messing with magic and switched over to shield for offhand because there's actually some finesse involved in like blocking and shield bashing at the right time, stuff like that. And I've been sneaking more lately, so like I'm starting to put points into sneak and archery now.
Archery, man,
archery's turning out to be pretty awesome.
I've been pushing that early. I was the first one to go into that, but it's so reward. It's not the best shooting system, but man, you fuck people's shit.
Once you get the perk that lets you zoom when you're shooting an arrow, and like sneak attacks basically start one-shotting guys at that point.
Yeah, because you get two times damage, and then with the zoom, especially if you have I have a bow that does like 15 points of fire damage for every shot. It's like so not only do they get hit for 2 damage, but then they are screaming and flailing on fire during the entire time.
So Patrick, what's your current build look like?
I think because the game kind of starts you out as one-handed magic, and then one hand with a mace.
Like they make that seem like a really good idea because
that gives you a breadth of options. Like you can mess with both rather than saying like. Greg basically from the start, I think, just ditched it and went to a two-handed weapon. Yeah. Like he knew what build he wanted.
Plus, he was playing the orc, which has like the berserker rage ability, so he's just like completely busting skulls.
So just a blunt object, able to destroy,
instrument of destruction.
It takes so long to hit that power attack with the double, but I imagine when it connects, it would destroy you.
He was mowing guys down.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like people kept saying, like, "Oh, he's playing on easy difficulty." Like, no, he wasn't. It was just,
and he was indiscriminate. He was just killing NPCs and everybody.
Did he try to
kill anything that was moving?
I think he tried to kill a kid.
I'm
not joking.
I saw him sneaking up on a kid at one point, and then I decided to go away. I didn't want to see the outcome of that. But the skill system is so well balanced that like you can kind of dabble in everything and get kind of pretty good at a lot of things. But if you really want to drill down and focus on like 2 or 3 things, you become insanely powerful in those 2 or 3 things.
What's the horse situation?
You can buy a horse,
and then you lose it if you get off of it, and like
it'll just reappear anytime you fast travel.
Yeah,
like it'll just be nearby.
So it doesn't die.
It appears
it can die. It definitely can die.
I read that it'll be at a stable if you lose it. If you get back to a stable, it'll be hanging out.
But you can steal a horse if you want.
Yeah.
Is it not consequential if you?
It's like stealing anything else. Somebody sees you do it.
Okay. Is it cheaper to pay the fine for stealing a horse than it is to just?
Well, you lose the horse, I think, if you do that.
Lose
you lose all your stolen stuff
because it becomes yours. Like Vinny's horse.
If you really want to get nefarious, just find a single guy in the wild riding a horse
and
kill him, and then take the horse.
So the crime's
the horse would see you.
Yeah, did the crimes report if they don't see you?
I don't think the horse is.
No.
Well, I was going to say I don't know if the horse is capable of reporting crimes, but apparently chickens are. So
apparently cows are too. I saw someone relating.
Did they leave the chickens thing?
No. They took that out. But so you'll come across like a random group of people, and if you start attacking them, it'll say, "Well, now a ransom's on your head." But if you manage to kill the guy who had spotted you, then it'll just say your ransom has been cleared.
Nice.
So as long as you track down all those
witnesses,
fools,
no witnesses,
you're cool.
Or you just put pots on everyone's heads and steal all their stuff.
Yeah.
Does that work?
You could do that.
Apparently, I've seen YouTube videos of people just grabbing pots and
the
putting them
pot
on.
breaks line of sight.
Yeah. Putting it on an NPC's head, it breaks line of sight. So then
steal it all.
They don't mind the pot on their head.
Apparently, they don't care. Apparently, that doesn't bother them.
Well, in Skyrim, it's a sign of love.
Keeps
sign of
the sun
affection
off your head.
Yeah.
It's cold, so it's kind of like a hat.
You can also, it's just line of sight. You can also like physically drag an object just around a corner and then put it in your inventory, and it doesn't count as stealing.
Could you ride up to the dude on his own horse after you have stolen it? Hey, that's a nice horse you got there. I have a horse just like that.
I think that's doubtful.
Well, it sounds like there is a lot to do,
dude. Yeah,
we've barely even talked about anything that's in this game.
Like if you look at if you just like look at Brad's map, I mean, just Christ.
There's still plenty of stuff. I have plenty of like every time I go to like any spot on the map that's kind of empty, there's still like another 8 locations I haven't discovered.
What do you think? Like 2 months, 3 months until the DLC? starts rolling out?
They said it's going to be a little while.
Like they haven't started working on it yet.
They've sketched out some ideas, but Todd Howard was telling Wired, I think, that they're going to wait till after it's out. They're going to go through the holidays, and then they'll go into production afterwards. They kind of want to see what people respond to.
It seriously looks like you could take like 200 hours to see everything.
Yeah, plus they bought themselves some time
in the main game.
Like I did
crazy.
I did everything in Fallout 3 in probably 75 hours, but it would take you easily double that to do everything.
Is there a completion ticker?
Pretty detailed stat screen. There's a lot of different quest lines. There's there's Thieves Guild, Dark Brotherhood. There's equivalents of like the Mages and Fighters Guilds.
Is there an overall like game completion?
No,
thing?
there's no single statistic. It's all like how many quests for each of these factions have you done? How many main story quests?
I've been doing Thieves Guild stuff. It's getting real good.
Yeah.
Did you say you got some really good gear out of that too? Right?
Yeah, I mean the Thieves Guild armor is like the armor gives you like an additional 30 points of carry. The gloves help with lockpicking. The boots help with sneak.
How far down of that did you have to go? Because I'm at the point where
missions or something
where I could do that right now. Okay, maybe I'll do that.
Even just joining the Thieves Guild gives you a really good set.
So you're a pretty sneaky dude. Are you?
I've become relatively sneaky. Okay. Yeah, but I'm kind of capable of doing whatever. I was heavy on destruction magic for a while, but like Brad was saying, I've been using a shield more frequently.
Oh, really? So you're actually getting into that?
Yeah.
Did you get the
I started doing some archery too. I killed a dragon with it and went like, all right, maybe this is okay.
Did you get the shield perk that slows down time when they do a power hit? That thing is fucking awesome. It completely changes the combat dynamics when you get that.
I might have to give that a shot.
Because if they're slowed down, you have time to bash them out of their attack. Basically cancel their attacks before they can hit you.
The reason I like doing the light armor route is because then you start getting enough spells like Stone Flesh that essentially turns your light armor into heavy armor for combat situations. It puts your armor up 60 points for 60 seconds, and which is more than what you need to get through any sort of decent combat scenario that you would have wanted the heavy armor, and you get to keep your stamina boost.
Yeah. Plus, if you're dumping a lot of perks into light armor, then your light armor is like thicker than heavy armor at a point anyway.
Yeah, you just have to go pretty deep down that.
You can
you still get glass armor?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have a glass mace right now.
I have a glass helmet.
I love glass armor.
I have a glass bow, I think.
How's the stuff look?
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
How's the PC look?
Good. Yeah.
I thought about switching. I got put in
PC.
15 hours on 360, and I was like, oh man, I should just get the PC version, and then I could mess around with some mods or something like that. But I was like, I've already gone so deep here.
That's kind of how I feel, but
I hear even the PC version though, that controller.
It's the best way to play.
Preferable.
Yeah.
Just that interface is...
Yeah. Like, it's kind of mixed reactions to the PC UI. Like, I think it works pretty well. But it's very clear. I mean, it's the same UI. They didn't really change much, so it's clearly designed around a controller. But I think it works pretty good. Mods are forthcoming, I'm sure.
I'm excited.
There's a bunch that are already...
Oh, for UI stuff?
Oh, UI stuff? No.
Yeah, there's a bunch of hack mods, and Bethesda said like the official stuff's coming soonish.
Like
but I think we're going to get a couple patches before we get community
like
things.
the Dartified UI guy, it's always out there like a week after a Bethesda game comes out with a new UI, but I don't know what he's up to.
Yeah, that community's hardcore. Whatever you're upset about, someone will address that in the next couple months.
Encumbrance.
The fucking response to this game, though, is insane. Like...
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen such a unified, like, positive reaction to a single game before.
Or just everyone playing a game at once. That just doesn't happen as much.
Well, it's a single player game because it happens. I think back to like Modern Warfare 2, like launch day for that. You look at your friends list; it's just everyone down playing it, and it didn't happen with Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah.
But Skyrim seems like. I have more people on my friends list that have played Skyrim than have played Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah, I looked last night, and it was like 80% of the 20-something people that were online on my list were playing Skyrim.
I wonder how they look at that, like, versus Rage, and they're just like, man, what did you...
Like, well, that's the thing. The response to Rage was pretty decidedly negative.
Yeah.
Tepid
to negative, depending on where you go. But, like, I see people in some of the most crotchety, stubborn, like, PC-oriented communities on the internet saying stuff like, this is the best game I've ever played, or I like this better than Morrowind. Like, it's intense.
Can't wait to get into it.
You should.
How's the main story?
It's good.
Yeah.
It's definitely...
So I'm not just closing Oblivion gates.
I didn't even do that. For reference, I played like 2 quests of the Oblivion storyline and stopped.
Yeah.
And this is varied and pretty compelling. Like,
did they ever reference any of that stuff? Does it seem to come up?
Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, there's books and stuff because a lot of
Talk
time
about
has
the history.
passed.
It's like 200 years or something like that.
So that was one of the things I had forgotten when this came out, was that like it's not like 5 years after Oblivion or something. Like
this is the fourth
basically
era.
a different era of the world. Yeah, like empires have practically risen and fallen in the time since Oblivion.
They're
Like,
lizard men.
Yeah,
They're still there.
Lizard men
I don't know if
they're
they-
dicks.
there's also cat people.
They're not very nice. Lizard men are always dicks to me.
It's cold. They're
That's true.
crotchety.
That's true. They're probably
Fuck,
uncomfortable.
this sucks.
Oh man,
I would-
lizard man.
I would say the cat people are the bigger dicks, personally.
You mostly just feel bad for the elves. Elves don't have it so well.
Not all the
in
elves.
Skyrim.
Some of the elves are shitheads
But
up there.
it's the high elves, the ones that are persecuted against.
The high elves. Well, no, the high elves are the ones with the Dominion.
The
there's-
Thalmor.
There's the Thalmor is like the ruling body of the Aldmeri Dominion.
Okay.
So much fucking fiction in this game. But yeah, so there's like a power struggle going on between the Nords and the high elves, but then the Nords look down on the dark elves, I think.
Yeah, they're confined
That's
to
where the racial tensions.
Yeah,
are
they're
coming
confined to the gray quarters which is basically like the slums of the north. I forget. I'm
Windhelm, I think it
glimping. Yeah, Windhelm,
Yeah.
which is in the northeast, right?
Right. But there's also a civil war going on between the indigenous Nords and the Imperials from the southern province who are trying to subjugate them.
And there is no clear, I should support this
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
Like there are arguments to be made for why every side sucks.
But there's a whole dual quest line associated with the Civil War because you can pick a side and join it and then go through all these quests like capturing cities and fortresses and stuff. But yeah, like who do you join because they're all dicks. Like nobody's hands are clean in that conflict.
I was gonna say Dragon Age, persecuted elves.
Yeah.
Witcher, persecuted elves. It's
because
poor elves.
It's because
The
the
game
1%,
designers
man.
love racism. They just can't stand like actual racism.
Make it
So
an
when
elf.
it's fantasy elves, it's like, oh, it's okay to do that.
How the elves have fallen.
Plus, everyone wants to take elves down a peg.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's that 1%.
Fancy.
So full of themselves.
The high elves in this game are asking for it. They
Yeah. Well, high elves
Fuck
are
those
always.
guys.
I mean, like by
it's a
default,
terrible attitude to have, Brad.
snooty
Oh,
assholes.
like
you're elitist.
usually high
know,
elves.
those types,
wrong side of history.
those high elf types.
I mean, they're really asking for it.
Yeah.
Eating in our inns and sleeping with our women.
I just want separate but equal.
That's all.
I can't believe those elves.
Did you hear that Perry was hanging out with an elf?
You elves.
friggin' pointy ears.
If only there was a message
people.
board where we could all talk about this with like-minded
Jesus,
people.
Finally. There were 84 elves in line.
If the racism isn't doing it for you, there's some good old-fashioned religious persecution as well.
Great, fantastic.
Or the Talos stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
that stuff's
complicated.
handled really well. It's interesting.
There is like a complicated like weave of social dynamics going on.
Like this god that's been
Behind-
expunged from history,
Yeah.
even though
because he is like began life as a mortal.
that was part of the treaty, right?
Yeah.
The treaty was that you expunged Talos.
The white gold concordat.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So there were 8 gods.
Yeah.
But then the emperor that like united all the provinces like 3,000 years ago,
Tiber Septim?
Tiber Septim, became deified.
Talos.
Yes, and like was renamed Talos and is worshipped as the 9th god.
I guess like a pope.
So that's why they say like by the 9
Yeah.
in a lot of cases. But then you encounter other people that say by the 8.
Because the elves don't like it that one of the gods.
They're god purists.
Yeah, like the elves really hate it that one of the gods is a human because
Manufactured.
Because the elves consider themselves like descended from godhood,
They're the chosen people.
right? And humans are.
And so
are
the
like,
Civil War is actually based a lot of it's based around that specific
'cause
thing.
the Nords really worship Talos hardcore, and
And the Imperials don't want them to,
And
because
the-
the Imperials signed the White Gold Concordat with
Yeah.
the elves.
To say it's cool.
that outlawed Talos worship
Oh.
as one of the terms of the peace treaty.
If you outlaw
So that's why
Talos
now-
worship, only outlaws have Talos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now the Nords are fighting the Imperials over that issue.
So the
That's
Imperials,
just
the
a-
Imperials are the U.S., the elves are Israel, and the Nords are
Palestine.
Palestine.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that right?
You figured it all out.
1-to-1-to-1 ratio.
Peeled back that one layer.
And it's all right there, teeming.
Read between the lines, man. Read between the lines.
Takes a while to wrap your head around all that fiction. It's very overwhelming at first because you don't like, especially if you've never played like really deep into an Elder Scrolls game before, like all the names. But like,
It's
just give it time. Like eventually,
Yeah.
you'll start to connect the dots.
Because you'll spend so much time in that world that you can't help but
That's
put
the
it all
thing.
together.
You know,
It's-
I hope we didn't just undersell the story by like laying it all out there like that, but after dozens of hours of absorbing that stuff through osmosis, like you start to like feel like you really super complicated
I
world.
love like Mass Effect. I think has brilliant fiction in a sci-fi setting, and they go deep in that similar way of establishing these relationships that go so far back.
Right.
Of like, well, this is an alien race that's been traveling through space with this other alien race for like 10,000 years. So they have all this backstory, even if humans just recently got into the mix.
Right.
There are these other kind of factors at play.
And the dwarves are long gone, right? The Dwarmer?
The Dwemer, yeah. I guess they were in Morrowind.
Yeah. They had awesome armor.
But even they
really
are just
heavy.
elves, turns out.
Oh, really?
Turns out they are elves who have beards.
Everyone who's not human is just an elf.
Practically, yeah.
Wait, the cat
orcs,
people are
orcs
elves?
Orcs are
also
elves in
elves.
this
So I guess
world.
actually,
Wait, really?
Yeah, they are.
Are they?
There's
I have
an
a-
offshoot of the high elf.
I have a side quest to collect blood samples from every type of elf, and the list is like orcs and high elves and dark elves. And
We're all the same, man.
yeah.
We're all the
about
same.
Redguard.
I ain't
No,
no elf.
they're human.
You're a part elf.
There's lots of different kinds of
You're
humans.
1/8 elf. That makes you an elf.
different kinds of elves, and then the cat people and the
What are the
Lizards?
cat
and
people
the
called?
lizard people.
Do I have enough elf in me that I can go live on an elf reservation?
What was your great grandfather? Was he an elf?
He was a quarter elf.
He was no. Then you're done. 1/64th
Yeah.
elf.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can live there.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but you can't sell cigarettes.
Hey, elf, you want to hang out with these blankets for me for a while?
Get that tax break, that Skyrim tax break. If you roll an elf, you don't have to pay.
Sounds good. Yeah. Don't have
Yeah.
to pay sales tax on stuff. You can open your own casinos wherever you want.
Elves have it hard, huh?
Some of them,
Yeah,
yeah.
specific elves.
Especially if you're going around killing them all.
I think this game does a lot better job than Mass Effect of presenting the fiction like in line with the world, as opposed to like Mass Effect just has a codex, right? Like you
Yeah,
just sit there in
yeah.
a codex reading like menu entries.
True.
This it's all contextual conversations between characters.
Well,
and,
there's
like,
a certain amount of
books.
There's a certain amount that happens contextually in conversations. In
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
you,
You're right.
you do get some of that, and
But
then
it's-
you know
but
there's
it's
stuff
all
like the
that way.
genophage, which
It's-
I think like
Yeah,
talks a lot of like deals with kind of the past history of some of the Mass
but the
Effect
details
races.
of that stuff you wouldn't necessarily get if you didn't go and read.
Right.
Right.
What I'm saying is that it's almost
Codices.
yeah, it's almost unavoidable in this game.
Okay.
You just can't help but especially if you just end up reading a bunch of the books you find, like those things are incredibly detailed.
Well, I mean, whatever the delivery mechanism, like I can appreciate that stuff. So
Yeah.
if it's done elegantly, then all the better.
Also, the Mass Effect fiction is solely based around you being a human interacting with all these aliens. I mean, that is the storyline. Whereas this, you can roll anything, right?
Yeah, you can be whatever you want. Yeah,
And does it seem like people react
yeah.
to you?
There is a significant amount of unique dialogue based on what race.
Are you guys
are.
all humans?
I'm an
played-
elf.
Oh, really?
You're an elf?
I'm an
What
elf.
kind
Good for you.
Well, because
kind of
one of the active powers you get, I can't remember I think it's a high elf. Because one of the elves, you can get command over animals, but I didn't think that'd be that
I
useful.
think that's a wood elf. Is that
Yeah, so I
one?
think it was high elf, which gives you 60 seconds, basically like your magic,
Yeah.
like recharges like instantly.
Yeah, that's a high elf.
So, and you can cast those specific race spells once a day. So I picked that just because that seemed really useful because I wanted to use a bunch of magic
does
for my
seem
character.
I think me and Jeff both ended up with the Imperials.
Yeah.
because they have. I think they have better speech. Is that right?
I think that's what it
Like
was.
speech
And-
bonus, but
yeah.
that was actually one of the very few things that I feel like is inferior in this is that there are not a lot of speech checks.
Right. I
And-
mean, its speech goes up just from you buying and selling stuff, but yeah,
Right.
there aren't a ton of like intimidate.
Since you can't actively dump points into speech,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of opportunities to increase
Like,
it.
you,
unless
you
you
go
can
to a speech
train.
trainer.
you can buy speech training if you want, but
But rarely you find yourself in a conversation with someone and you can just like talk your way out of a quest leg or something like
those
that.
things do pop up. Like you'll get speech options where it'll be intimidate or persuade or bribe or whatever. But it actually makes me wonder if you don't even see those options if your speech is not at a minimum level.
I don't know because I see all three show up all the
I
time,
started
and
seeing
one of
them
them
more.
always, at least one of them always works. So
Yeah,
I mean, but you can fail.
Yeah, you can definitely
At
fail.
it. And that will say, I'm not a big fan of like games always surfacing numbers, but it is a little frustrating when you don't get like a tangible understanding of why you.
Yeah.
Like, did I fail because it's a dice roll? Like, is
did
it just
I
that
fail
I
because
had-
that's how it's written because he doesn't respond well to intimidation.
I think
or-
anytime there is a speech check,
it says
a
intimidate.
note-
or-
anytime it's one of those, like if you failed it.
So
it's just-
is intimidate a speech check, or is that just like
yeah, it's
your
just
strength?
like in Fallout, except
Okay.
in Fallout it gave you a percentage chance that you would succeed,
Right.
And in this, it's just you see that you have the option, but you don't know how well you'll do with it. But
That's a mod I would really like
Yeah.
to see is
I
like
bet that could-
expose more
I
numbers.
bet that could easily be exposed.
Just let you know how much you're gaining sneak at any given moment.
Right.
Or having just a bunch of bars all
Yeah.
over the
Numbers
screen.
flying everywhere.
Yeah, I don't want bars. I just want the numbers popping off.
Yeah.
the
I've
dude's
been playing
head.
too much Call of Duty.
Right.
I
Just
wanted
plus 100.
I wanted to output.
Headshot,
I wanted to
sneak,
output everything.
I got prestige in Skyrim.
I want it to log to a text file so I can look at it later. See what happened under the hood.
Put it into
build
an
a
Excel
parser.
spreadsheet.
Yeah, there you go.
Just have them pop up
Yeah.
on your second monitor,
want-
just all the bars.
I want real-time performance analysis.
A second
Everything that's going
screen
on.
with all the bars
There
actually
you
would
go.
be
That would be kinda cool.
Kind of awesome. Hey, there's your Wii U version.
The reason I bring up the speech thing is that so this is me and you have had the same experience of like giving up magic.
Yeah.
Probably because you kind of got bored with the spells you had, right?
Yeah, I didn't like the second level of fire.
Oh, okay.
Of the fireballs because I miss a lot, and then that totally sucks. So I had been sticking with the first level, just kind of fire hose
Right.
thing.
Well, the thing I suspected that seems to have been confirmed is that you don't get access to those higher tiers of spells until you skill up in that way.
yeah.
So there's like 3 more tiers of destruction magic that like we've never even seen.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I'm sticking to magic. I'm at the intermediate stuff, and I just found those like some wizard was selling them, and then I was
Right.
able to use them.
I have 40 in destruction right now.
Yeah, that's
Restoration.
about where I'm
around,
at.
I'm around there too.
And I kind of gave up on it. But like, if you played a pure magic character, like you could probably get some pretty
I was
crazy ass
thinking
spells.
about dropping shields and moving to wards because they are
So you
magic
can
shields.
spawn shields.
Yeah, it's sort of like the base level spells. You hold the button down to put up a block, but it's a magic block, so it'll absorb spells up to a certain point, and also mitigate some damage. It raises your armor.
That does sound
It's
pretty
just
useful.
and also it'll boost my restoration stat. So
Is that more anti-magic though than anti-physical?
it is more anti magic, but it raises your armor stat when it's on, so it'll kind of work for both.
Huh. You gonna read that book, Brad? I wonder if that book is in the
Elder
game
Scrolls
somewhere.
fiction.
That would be pretty good. I thought the in-game books are totally worth reading, though.
And they're all very short.
But they're like right, a couple
They're all like
pages.
4 or 5 pages long, but
Like you get really into reading them early on, just as you're trying to wrap your head around the
And then realize
fiction.
there are a
Then
billion
you'll hit a
of them.
point where you're like,
I can't.
like you'll walk into a room and there are 25 books.
Do they weigh anything?
some of them do.
Some of them
Oh,
do.
No
Quest-
more than one.
The quest ones don't,
Okay.
but the random ones do.
So it's not really worth holding on to all of them.
If they're skill books, then they're worth a little bit more. So sometimes they can be
Selling back.
worth.
Oh
keeping
god, I
and
love
selling.
skill books more than anything in the world.
I wish the game made it clearer what was a skill book.
Yeah.
and
You have
what
to
it's
read
not.
it, right? To
You don't have to flip the pages.
But you just
as
have to
soon as
open
you
it.
read
You just go dun 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 dun.
I love-
a little drum roll.
I love how many books and notes and stuff there are that spawn quests too. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing better than cracking a book and immediately just dun, 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 like new quest added to your log.
Wow.
So much stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's dudes running up to you all the time. Like hey, I'm a courier. I got a note from an anonymous so and so. Here you go, and you read it.
Go to this cave.
New quest.
All right. Sure. And it's hard to tell how much that is the Radiant AI stuff,
Yeah,
and I'll give the game credit to that.
It's seamless.
It's dynamic
Yeah.
quest system. It feels total. I mean, maybe that'll feel different, like once you've cleared everything out, and you
Right.
can more clearly see what is being dynamically generated. But it does a good job of faking you into thinking this is a scripted moment to point you in the direction of something.
And so at one point, I was like, they must have had like 500 people working on this game to put all this stuff in there. But then you start to realize it's all just like
It's a system that's just taking
machinery
care of it.
under the hood, just like connecting all these different dots together to funnel your progress.
What's the saving like?
It's total hard save, like
You choose
standard stuff. The biggest change is that they save 3 tiers of autosaves now.
Okay.
So you never get stuck in the situation where like people are chasing you through a door and you run through the door
Yeah.
and then that save is just fucked.
You
Because you can always roll back.
can't save in combat.
Yeah.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, you can save almost
Anytime?
I think the only time you can't save is in the middle of a conversation.
Oh, awesome.
And you can there are even variables in the menu to set for how often it should make autosaves and stuff like that.
On the console versions as
In
well?
all versions,
Wow.
Wait, what does that change?
The biggest one is that you'll notice it autosaves a lot when you pop up the main character menu.
Yes.
You can set the interval of how often it does that.
Oh.
So you can set it like every 5 minutes that you pop up the menu, it'll make an autosave.
That's deep.
So you could almost go through the game never making a hard save, but I don't think I wouldn't recommend it
You'll learn quickly not to,
But-
because it doesn't autosave
in the world
or in a dungeon.
unless you set that menu.
Or you can
timer
set it
super low. That's what I'm saying. Like if you set it to 5 minutes, then every time it crosses the 5-minute mark and you haven't popped that thing up, the next time you do, it makes a save.
Yeah, because you'll be going through a dungeon, and then if you've gotten 45 minutes in and hadn't pulled up your character menu,
Right.
you'll just have lost 45 minutes. So you learn pretty quickly to do the thing you do in Bethesda games, which is save every 5 minutes. Because you're going to be pulling up the menus anyway.
I'm scared, Vinny.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Oh,
Is your
man.
body ready?
That's how I
so
felt for a
ready.
while. You just have to embrace it at
Just
some
dive
point.
in.
Just go.
Just start walking.
Just go.
I
Let
remember
some
I
shit
bought
happen.
Oblivion the day it came out
Yeah.
and then did not play it for like 2 months.
There's something to be said to be part of the
I know,
zeitgeist as it's happening.
And like you guys are saying, I can't recall a game that has seen such universal praise
Yeah.
as Skyrim. People seem to really, really, really enjoy that
They
game.
finally did it. They made Oblivion, and it had its problems, which were numerous and deep. And then they basically took a break from that stuff to make Fallout, and seemed like they picked up a lot of lessons along the way. And all that stuff just kind of came to fruition in this game.
Yeah.
Yep.